The movie begins in Pennsylvania in 1992, where we see a girl named Rose, and her great-grandfather gives Soil in her hand. He tells her that they should respect nature to understand it, and Soil has stories to tell. He then gives her a locket and says that his father had given it to him. It was a barrier between good and evil, and he saw it save his father's life. Next, we see Rose's family, which consists of her parents and siblings. They're all having supper when we see Rose's dad William behaving strangely, and then he starts having visions of the war. He gets angry and says let him bleed out, after which he gets up and leaves from there. The kids ask their mother what's wrong with him, to which she says he is sick. Now in the night, the sound wakes up William, and he picks up the hammer kept nearby. He gets up and attacks his wife with that hammer and kills her. Here Rose wakes up, and we see that William is now killing Rose's siblings with the same hammer. Then he goes to Rose's room, but she is not there. He then comes out looking for her, mistaking Rose for Hank. Rose says she is not Hank, to which he says he can set him free. And before he could attack her, Rose's grandfather stops him and tells Rose to run away, after which William kills him and gets shot too. The next day, police come to investigate the place. Serge tells the officer that he used to drop William home drunk after the war. He said he used to see things. The officer tells him that William's wife and kids are passed on too, except for his eldest. Serge gets shocked to hear this and asks him to find her. After some time they find her sitting in the woods, and Serge asks her if she has any other family, to which she says no. He says he knows a place couple of states away, where he spent some time as a child himself. If she goes there, she won't have to worry about anything. Next, we see Father Henry in a church. A man comes to him and tells him a girl was taken to St. John's this morning, and he thinks he needs to take a look at this. Father Henry tells him that he will be in touch with the Reverend Mother. Meanwhile, Rose reaches the convent, where Reverend Mother Agnes welcomes her, and she says she is going to stay with them. Now the movie forwards 10 years from here, where Rose has grown up. She goes to the church and confesses that she thinks about her father ever since she has been here. Father Theodore asks her if has she considered taking her final vows, to which she says yes, but she feels that she could do more for the world. But Father Theodore says she should begin with herself. She then meets her friend Sister Ella, who has been here for 8 years, and she says that she has decided to take her final vows. Now that night, Rose hears some voice as the wind blows. She gets a little scared of this and takes out the locket given to her by her grandfather. She then starts reading the prayers, after which she hears someone whispering her name, and that it came for her. Next, we see Mother Reverend comes to her room and asks her if something is troubling her, to which she says no. Mother Reverend tells her that when she first came here, they embraced her as one of their own. Yet there are certain things she chooses to face alone. She lost her family, but God is her family and they are her family. And then she asks her to take a rest. That night while she is sleeping, she begins to have nightmares, and we see that she is getting kind of possessed. And then suddenly she gets up and flies out of her mouth. Now the next day, she again goes to the confession booth and tells Father Theodore that she feels alone. Father asks her about last night at home, to which she says all she remembers is the pain in her father's eyes. He used to say, "Kill me." There was a consistent rhythm like a clock. Her world was falling apart, but her heart was steady. Father says he has felt her regret since she arrived, but rather than it disappear over the years, it's grown. Her emotions are ultimately a test, designed to strengthen her faith. She then runs to Sister Ella and Sister Lily, and asks them if they noticed anything strange around here, to which they say everything around them is normal. Sister Ella suggests that if she is not feeling well, ask for the doctor. She then again goes to the confession booth and tells Father Theodore that she is seeing things that aren't there, and hearing things that don't exist, but she notices that Father Theodore is not in there. She then starts looking for him and meets Jeremiah, who tells her that Father Theodore is preparing a sermon for midnight mass. She says he was in church, to which he says he has been here for over an hour and she was in the booth alone when he came here. She asks him if he was listening to her confession, to which he says he tried to ignore, but promises that he won't tell anyone. He says she has to determine if that strange thing is something with this convent or something centered around her. She says it's her, and Jeremiah says maybe it's her father, reborn in her. Later, while she is in her room, she again starts hearing voices, and we see a black hand moving toward her. The clock's ticks get loud, and she sees the hand behind her. But then it goes back and she hears a voice saying, "Kill them." Now while she is sleeping, she has a dream, in which she sees that she is possessed, and Father Henry is performing an exorcism on her, and suddenly she wakes up from sleep. Now the next day during the choir rehearsal, Rose's attention is somewhere else, and suddenly she screams very loudly. Seeing this, all the other sisters get scared, and Rose runs away after apologizing to Reverend Mother. And we see that the cross hanging on the wall turns upside down. Father tells her that Reverend Mother is looking for her, to which she says she is not feeling well. Father says she needs to rest, but then she sees something on the wall behind Father, fearing which she runs away from there. Now that night Rose again sees the same dream and she begins to get possessed. Meanwhile, Jeremiah notices the upside cross on the wall. Suddenly Rose screams loudly and Jeremiah prays, after which she gets normal. Next, we see Father Theodore and Reverend Mother talking, where she asks him what did he and Rose speak of, to which he says the details of the confession are strictly confidential. Reverend Mother says she is concerned for her, to which Father says it's about her past. Mother Reverend says she would like to call on Father Henry to evaluate Rose, but Father says he is not specialized in this. He says it's childhood trauma, to which Reverend Mother says there is more to it. Now the next morning, we see Sister Ella taking her final vows. But during this everything stops and Rose gets up from her seat and comes to Sister Ella. She makes a mark of a cross on her forehead by which she becomes possessed and the scene gets cut here. That night, Rose again sees that nightmare in which she is possessed and the church is trying to cast the evil out of her. And here she falls off the bed and we see burn marks of hands on her body. Father Henry visits the convent the next morning, where Reverend Mother tells him they need help. She shows him a bent cross and says she found it in her room, and there are more in the hallway and in other rooms. He says he has seen a cross flying and turned upside down, but he has never seen anything like this. She then tells him about Rose, and Father Henry says he would like to meet her as soon as possible. Meanwhile, we see Rose inside the confession booth, where she confesses to Father Theodore that she has not been entirely honest with him. She has visions of memories that aren't hers. She tells him about the rhythm of the clock and only then does water drop on her. She starts having visions, and Father Theodore says when she was younger, an altar boy named Christopher came to him with similar symptoms. Rose tries to open the door, but it doesn't, and the booth begins to fill with water. Father says soon Christopher become destructive, so they called in one of his colleagues named Father Henry to perform an exorcism. Rose screams for help, but Father Theodore continues saying that it was a rebirth, and suddenly Rose attacks Father Theodore and kills him by stabbing him. She then wakes up in the booth and seeing Father Theodore's dead body there, he flees. Jeremiah then comes to her and sees her with her locket and soil. He says it looks like a pagan ritual, worshipping the earth in witchcraft. She asks him not to tell anyone about this, and he says that Reverend Mother has called a specialist for her and she wants to see her. Meanwhile, Sister Ella and Lily find Father Theodore's dead body, and Sister Lily asks her what this has been done by Rose. They call Mother Reverend there, who asks them who was with him in here last, to which Ella says she thinks it was Rose. Mother Reverend asks them to leave the place and go to St. Jude's. On the other hand, Rose tells Jeremiah that she is burning, so maybe she should just go see the specialist. Jeremiah says the specialist is aware of her, and he knows her since she was brought here. She asks her why, to which he says precaution. He then asks her if she has seen any of these signs, like unseen voices, slip from reality, but most importantly, she is a virgin to spirituality. She has been here since she was a child, and she has yet to take her final vows. He says whatever shares her body is restraining her. Rose asks him to stop it, to which he says he is trying to save her soul. Just then 2 men come there with Father Henry and takes Rose away from there. Next, we see her tied to a bed and 2 sisters praying beside her bed. She asks them where is she, to which they tell her she has been here all this time for many years. She asks them about Reverend Mother, to which Jeremiah says she is dead. They then ask her to fight, but she asks about her book, in which she has drawn the outside of this room. Jeremiah shows her book in which she had actually drawn the devil. He tells her she has been here since her family was killed. Father Henry then begins the exorcism and Rose starts screaming, and then Father sprinkles holy water on her which he got blessed from the Vatican. Rose says there is a man within her, and then we see William. He apologizes that he wasn't there to watch her grow. He was in pain, and he let it defeat him. He asks her not to let it defeat her. And then the scene comes back to Rose. She attacks the sisters and throws them away, after which she kills Father Henry as well. Jeremiah then asks her if she wants her locket. She says she trusted him, to which he says he is not what she's thinking. He then burns her face with that, but she throws him out of the window. She then burns down that place and herself. Next, we see that Jeremiah is alive and boarding a train. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.